live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast. I'm Stefan Dialwis and joining me tonight is Sharon Mascarenas. Let's take a look at the top stories for tonight. An increase in the price of kerosene, relief to the fishing and plantation communities. Examination of petitions challenging the 22nd Constitutional Amendment draft bill begins. The Urban Development Authority says damages to the Goldface Green as a result of the protest is 4.9 million rupees. A program to transform Gramaniladari divisions into centers of rural economic revival. Clash of opinions between Ukraine and Russia over launching an attack in an area where a nuclear power station is located.
On to the main story for today. The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation says that the retail price of a litre of kerosene has been increased by 253 rupees.
Minister Kanchana Vijayasekara says a proposal has been submitted to the government to provide a financial subsidy to the low-income families in the fishing and plantation communities who depend on kerosene. The new price has become effective since midnight yesterday. According to the CPC, the new revised price of a litre of kerosene oil is 340 rupees. The earlier price of a litre of kerosene was 87 rupees before the addition of the 253 rupees. The fishing community has been subjected to difficulties due to the price increase and they are requesting for some form of relief. The Association of Electricity Users says both the plantation and the fishing communities have been severely affected by the increase in the price of kerosene. Minister Kanchana Vijayasekara says that the kerosene price revision should have been carried out several years ago. One of the reasons of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation incurring losses is the sale of produce at concessionary prices. A group of officials, including Minister Mahinda Amaravira, has officially received today the second installment of the stock of fertilizer imported to the country under the Indian credit line. Indian High Commissioner in Sri Lanka Gopal Bagle was also present at the occasion. The stocks are being unloaded and being transported to the outstation areas from today itself. The first stock of fertilizer has already been distributed among farmers.
This is for the people of Sri Lanka, for the farmers of Sri Lanka. India's support, India's help. As you know, so far this year, India has supported Sri Lanka with about $4 billion of support in its economic difficulties, which Sri Lanka is currently facing. We are always in support of the people of Sri Lanka, and we are very grateful to the ministers who have come here today to accept this consignment. India will continue to be supportive of the people of Sri Lanka so that they can face the current difficulties. And today's event is an example of the benefits to both the countries, to the people of both the countries, from close friendship, from mutual trust and mutual goodwill between the two countries and their people.
Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that 200 metric tons of urea in the first installment have already been dispatched. The minister added that the northern and eastern are the provinces that commence paddy cultivations first. He has also appreciated the cooperation extended by India in handing over the deliveries on behalf of the country and the farmers. Minister Amaravira also said that they are now getting ready to prepare the tenders for purchasing fertilizer in the Maha season.
යූරියාවලට අතිරේකව බණ්ඩි පොර නැත්නම් MOP TSP ආදී පොර ලබා දීමේ කටයුත්තට අපි දායක වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මේ ගේන පොර සියල්ලම ඉතාමත් හොඳ තත්ත්වයේ පොර. එක වතාවක් කිව්වා බාල පොර ගේන්නේ කියලා. ගැහුවම ගොයම කහපාට වෙනවා කියලා කිව්වා. මේ වගේ විවිධ චෝදනා කිව්වා. ඊළඟට කිව්වා පොරවල බෑග් වල තියෙන කිලෝ 40යි කියලා. බෑග් 8ක විතර තිබිච්ච ප්‍රශ්නයක් අල්ලගෙන රටේම කියන්න ගත්තා. නමුත් මේවා සියල්ලම ඉතාමත් විනිවිදභාවයෙන් පෙන්න ආකාරයට කිසිම වංචාවක් දූෂණයක් නොවන ආකාරයට මේ කටයුත්ත සිද්ධ වෙනවා.
The consumers say although a guaranteed price has been fixed for eggs by the government, eggs are not being sold at the stipulated price in certain areas. Traders say they are not receiving eggs from the producers according to the relevant prices. The All Ceylon Bakery Association says it is able to reduce the price of a loaf of bread by 50 rupees if the government intervened in the issue. A group including President of the Restaurant Owners Association, Asela Sampath, has arrived at the Consumer Affairs Authority this morning. The visit has been made to extend thanks for imposing a controlled price for several items, according to a request they made from the Consumer Affairs Authority last week. Issuance of fuel under the QR code system is being successfully conducted. More than 6 million vehicles have already been registered under this program. Minister Kanchana Vijayasekara in a Twitter message says fuel has been purchased using QR methodology. A preliminary discussion with the intention of converting to electricity the travelling of three-wheelers and buses was held today. It was conducted through participation of Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena and the representatives of the United Nations Development Programme. The aim is to minimise the impact on fuel crisis and environmental degradation. More than 1 million three-wheelers are operating in Sri Lanka. It has been reiterated at the discussion that the conversion to electricity of these vehicles would enable to find a solution.
The Ministry of Power and Energy says that maintenance work at the Lakvijaya power station is being carried out expeditiously. The aim is to add to the national grid the first generator as soon as possible. Operations in the first generator have been halted on the 1st of this month as a result of the leakage of the water vapour in the boiler of the Lakvijaya power station. The maintenance activities have recommenced on the 20th of this month.
The Supreme Court has commenced today the examination the petitions filed challenging the 22nd Constitutional Amendment draft bill.
They are being heard before a three-member panel of judges comprising of the Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya. President's Counsel Monahara De Silva said that according to the Constitution, the executive power lies with the President and the Constitution is not empowered to either to curtail or remove these powers. President's Counsel Monahara De Silva said that the Supreme Court has substantiated this fact through the court verdict pertaining to the 19th Constitutional Amendment. However, the ruling would not affect final decisions to be taken by the President. When Supreme Court Judge Buwaneka Aluyare questioned whether the President's executive power represents the proposed Constitutional Council, President's Counsel Monahara De Silva replied that the Constitutional Council represents the President's executive powers, but it also restricts the presidential power. He added that, however, final authority on decision-making should be with the President. He added that it is against the Constitution to appoint members to the Constitutional Council based on nationalism. He has requested the Supreme Court not to grant approval in this regard. The draft bill points out that the President could hold only the post of Defence Minister. President should appoint Minister on the instructions of the Prime Minister. Under the draft bill, the maximum period the President could hold a ministerial portfolio other than the post of Defence Minister is 14 days. Responding to a query raised by the Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya as to how the presidential powers could be curtailed when the President has the powers to decide on the composition and the number of ministers in the Cabinet, the President's Counsel said the proposed draft bill will remove from the President the powers to remove a Prime Minister appointed by him. He also said that the President's executive powers are being further restricted when the Parliament has the authority to decide upon the number of ministers when a national government is being formed with the support of independent groups. Attorney at Law Nagananda Kodituaku said that the authority to appoint judges by the President amounts to a violation of powers of the judiciary. Attorney at Law Kodituaku also said that the dominance of the judiciary has been severely threatened by the continuous existence of a minister who has been found guilty of frauds and imposed millions of rupees of fines. President's Counsel V.K. Choksi said that an executive prime minister has been created through the proposed bill and it is against the objectives of the Constitution. President's Counsel Sanjay Rajaratnam has appeared on behalf of the government. The Attorney General and the President further hearings of the petition have been postponed till tomorrow.
The Urban Development Authority says the agitations have caused damages amounting to 4.9 million rupees at the Gota Gogama location in Goldface Green. It further says that steps have been taken to obtain an assessor's report on the losses.
Minister Prasanna Ranatunga has instructed the authority to take legal measures to recover the losses from the protesters themselves. The authority adds that 4.75 million rupees is needed to replant grass in the ground. The agitators were compelled to vacate the premises after 3 months due to a court order. The land belongs to the Urban Development Authority. The activities of the agitators has caused obstructions for the general public to use the premises. The forceful occupation is a violation of Urban Development Act. The Fourth Magistrate Court has ordered today to release on bail Kalum Amarasinghe, who has been charged over unauthorized entry into the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation on the 13th of July this year.
He was freed on a 150,000 rupee cash bail and a 300,000 rupee surety bail. A group of so-called protesters, including Kalum Amarasinghe and Danish Ali, were engaged in an agitation in front of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation premises and later on entered the premises without permission on the 13th of July. They were also reported to have threatened the SLRC staff and forcefully expressed their opinions via media through a news broadcast. Danish Ali was recently arrested over the incident and placed under detention. Later on, he was released on bail. Although the police had attempted to arrest Kalum Amarasinghe, in many instances he remained in hiding. However, Kalum Amarasinghe has surrendered to the Cinnamon Gardens police station through his attorneys. This morning, the police has taken him into custody after recording a statement. Later on, the Fourth Magistrate Court has decided to release him on bail after being produced before the courts today. The Colombo Fourth Magistrate Court has also ordered today release on bail actor Jehan Apuhami, who was a suspect in an incident of fleeing from police custody. He was also released on a surety bail of 500,000 rupees. The Slave Island police station has informed the judiciary that the suspect had fled after being arrested disregarding police orders during an agitation conducted by the Inter-University Students' Federation in Union Place recently.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena has decided to appoint a committee to implement the program of transforming each Grama Niladhara division into a centre of the rural economic revival. At a discussion held at the Prime Minister's office today, attention has also been focused on the speedy implementation of a food security program to enhance the nutrition of the general public in the next 2 years. Ministers Douglas Devananda, Nalin Fernando and Prime Minister's Secretary Anura Dissanayake have also attended the meeting. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that speedy attention will be focused on food production and the development of minor fishing industry. The Prime Minister also said that their biggest resource is the fishing industry.
Here are some of the opinions expressed by political party representatives on the formation of an all-party government. Parliamentarian Partli Champika Ranawaka said that they will extend support for an all-party government which wins the confidence of the people. He added that they will not obstruct the work of the President. A decision will be taken later on that joining of an all-party government. Parliamentarian Tissa Tanayaka said that they are still not aware of the all-party program despite weeks of discussions. He has inquired on the government's solutions to the foreign exchange crisis and rising cost of living. Parliamentarian Professor G.L. Pires said that the opinion is to conduct an election as soon as possible. It is a fundamental right of the people to appoint a government of their choice. Port Trade Union representatives request Minister in charge to impose punishments to the culprits responsible for the frauds, wastage and misappropriation of funds at the Ports Authority in the recent past, after conducting an appropriate investigation.
Minister Nimal Siripala De Silva has instructed the Secretary to the Ministry, KDS Ruwan Chandra, to appoint an independent team to investigate the charges. This decision has been taken at a discussion this morning between representatives of 37 trade unions and Minister Nimal Siripala De Silva. The talks have been centred on several issues including delays in the construction of the eastern terminal of the harbour, irregularities in the procedure of recruiting employees to the authority and obtaining of full-scale service of additional workers. The trade union delegates have also enlightened the minister over the decline in the number of ships arriving at the Colombo harbour as a result of mismanagement and arbitrary increasing of shipping charges. The minister has taken measures to resolve some of the problems presented. He added that he is hoping to conduct more talks with the trade unions to resolve the remaining issues.
Minister Parliamentarian Udaya Gamampilla says a new party will be formed to find solutions to the people's problems. Addressing a media briefing, Parliamentarian Udaya Gamampilla said the disruptions caused by the agitation was more dangerous than the reign of terror that prevailed between 1987 to 89. Reports have been received regarding a Tamil separatist groups and NGOs have received funds from foreign sources under the cover of the agitation. He added that they will form a new alliance on the 4th of next month.
Certificates have been presented today to students who have successfully completed a course on solar power technology conducted by the National Apprentice and Industrial Training Authority.
Minister Susil Premajayanth has presided over the event. 65 trainees have received NVQ 03 and 04 level National Vocational Qualification certificates. It has been pointed out that both the NATA and the Sri Lanka Renewable Energy Authority have amply realized the timely need to engage in green, renewable power generation, which is the main methodology to overcome the power crisis. The training course has commenced according to an agreement of understanding reached between the NATA, the Sri Lanka Renewable Energy Authority and the Solar Panel Model Manufacturing Project. The course is being conducted in 15 island-wide centres.
Residents living in the vicinity of a protected lake area in the Galgamu have expressed concern over the tusker named Kavanthissa loitering in the area along with his female companion. Many foreign photographers have come to the area to photograph the Kavanthissa, which is the biggest elephant in the country. However, the photographers were deprived of the opportunity to cover the event due to certain residents intoxicated by liquor behaving in an unruly manner. Even the wild elephants were frightened by the sounds and fled the area.
Former Governor of Southern and Central Provinces Rajit Kirti Tennukon has been appointed as the Director General of Community Affairs in the President's Office. Newly appointed Director General of Community Affairs Rajit Kirti Tennukon is a professional who has worked in many fields including civil organizations, human rights and elections. He has local and international experience in economic revitalization and community affairs. He is a postgraduate in mass communication. It's time for a quick break. Stay tuned for international news.
හොඳම දේ විශ්වාසයෙන් ට්‍රීට් කරන්න. Prima Treats. Life is a treat.
Welcome back. Now a look at international news. Britain, France, Germany and the United States have stressed the need to ensure the safety of nuclear installations threatened by the conflict in Ukraine.
Meanwhile, Moscow and Kyiv have accused each other of shelling a Russian-held nuclear plant, raising fears of a catastrophe. In a phone call yesterday, the four leaders reiterated their support for Ukraine against Russia's invasion. The conflict was subject of a conference call bringing together UK's Boris Johnson, US President Joe Biden, his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Following its conclusion, they urged military restraint around the Russian-controlled nuclear power station in southern Ukraine, where renewed fighting has led to fears of a disaster worse than in Chernobyl in 1986. The leaders welcomed a deal approved by Russian President Vladimir Putin to allow the UN inspectors to visit the plant at a future date. Ukraine reported more missile strikes yesterday, notably in the town of Nikopol, near the power station, that is. The rhetoric surrounding Europe's biggest nuclear power plant close to the front line in Ukraine is becoming increasingly alarming, with international figures, including UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, warning about the risk of a major accident. Now, Pakistan's police have charged the country's former Prime Minister Imran Khan under an anti-terror laws.
Supporters of former Premier Khan gathered outside his house vowing to take over if he was arrested. However, he has now been granted anticipatory bail until Thursday. Police announced the charges after the cricketer turned politician accused the police and judiciary of torturing his close aide, who is himself being detained under sedition charges. Since being ousted from power in April, former Pakistan Prime Minister Khan has been a vocal critic of the government and the country's army. Officials accused ex-Prime Minister Khan of breaching the country's Anti-Terrorism Act for allegedly making threats against the state officials. Hundreds of the former Prime Minister's supporters gathered outside his home in Islamabad after news of the investigation broke, vowing to take over the capital if police tried to detain him. Former Prime Minister, former Premier Khan's political allies have also warned that arresting the ousted leader would be crossing a red line. Islamabad's High Court approved the 3-day protective bail, but directed him towards an anti-terrorism court, claiming it was the appropriate forum to address the issue.
China heatwave and drought to continue with power supply hit. Shipping halted and crops at risk. The iconic skyline in the Chinese city of Shanghai, the Bund, will not be lit for 2 nights to save power, Chinese authorities have confirmed. The waterfront area of the Bund, known as for its mix of historical and futuristic buildings, is a popular tourist destination. Large parts of the world's second-largest economy face a severe drought amid a record-breaking heat wave. China has issued its first national drought alert of the year last week, after areas including Shanghai in Yangtze Delta region and Sichuan in southwest China experienced weeks of extreme heat. The record low water levels in the Yangtze have halted shipping over vast sections of the key waterway. Heat waves in central and eastern China, some of the most densely populated parts of the country, are also beating records, with sustained temperatures of over 40 degrees Celsius for a month. Several wildfires have been reported in the mountain and forest areas in southwest China since last week due to high temperatures and drought.
Terima Kotumi Pantan.
Back and a quick look at sports news. Now, pace bowler of the Sri Lanka cricket team Dushmantha Chameera has been deprived of playing in the Asia Cup due to an injury.
An injury has occurred in the left leg of Dushmantha Chameera while engaging in training. The Sri Lanka cricketer has declared that he will leave the reserve squad of the Asia Cup. Another paceman, Nuwan Thushara, has been recalled to take the place of Dushmantha Chameera. Nuwan Thushara's name has been forwarded to the Minister of Sports for approval. The Sri Lanka reserve squad is comprised of 20 players. Dinesh Chandimal, Vanindu Hasrang, Vanindu Fernando and Nuwan Thushara have been named as additional players of the reserve. The Sri Lanka cricket have earlier declared that these 3 players will not leave for the United Arab Emirates on the 24th of this month. The Asia Cup cricket tournament is scheduled to commence on the 24th of this month. Meanwhile, the Pakistan Cricket Board has declared today that Mohammad Hasnain would replace Shaheen Shah Afridi, who has been withdrawn from the Asia Cup cricket tournament due to an injury. The qualifying round matches of the Asia Cup cricket tournament have commenced in Oman yesterday. The winners in yesterday's matches were Kuwait and Hong Kong. The Hong Kong team beat the Singapore team by 7 wickets and the Kuwait team won the match against the United Arab Emirates team by 1 wicket. Captain of the Kuwait team, Mohammad Aslam, and the opening batsman, Ravi Sandarwan, are Sri Lankan cricketers. A ceremony to felicitate sportspersons in the Northwestern Province who have displayed high sporting skills and won medals at the recently concluded Commonwealth Games was held today. Appreciations have been extended on weightlifting competitor Dilanka Isurukumara, who won the bronze medal, his coach Rukshan Gunathilaka, as well as wrestling competitor Netmi Ahimsa, who also won a bronze medal, and her coach Suranga Kumara. Yupon Nabekon, who won the bronze medal in the 100-meter running event, was also felicitated. The sporting skills of the weightlifting competitor Indika Dissanayaka and wrestling competitor Chamodani Keshani have also been evaluated. Governor of the Northwestern Province and Admiral of the Fleet Wasantha Karanangoda has presided over the ceremony held at the Northwestern Provincial Council Auditorium.
St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia win the Junior Championship Trophy Inter-School Amateur Age Group Swimming Trophy, which held at the Sukadadasa Swimming Pool Stadium.
The runners-up of the tournament was St. Peter's College, Bamalapitia. Third place has been secured by Lyceum International School, Nugegoda. In the Champions League football, which is coming up next. Yes, the Champions League football tournament organised by the Sri Lanka Football Federation Mathura City team beat Serendip team yesterday at the Sukadadasa Stadium in Colombo. The final score was 1-0. Accordingly, the four frontrunners were the tournament Mathura City and Javaline teams.
Terima Kutumi Pantan.
Well, that's it for the news this evening. Have a good night.